We are more interested in protecting our memories and nostalgia versus protecting actual people. The fact that Ari Lennox short audio discussing how she felt watching Martin as a dark-skinned black woman has so many people upset proves that we still do not understand colorism. Let's talk about it.
Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck on.
What's going on, you all? Yes, Martin, the TV show, was full of colorism. Full of colorism, anti-blackness, all the things. A lot of these shows were. A lot of the shows we're seeing now are still there. We have to let go of this nostalgia and protecting things over protecting people. This is a conversation that is being had, and you should not feel that upset about a fictional show that harmed black, dark-skinned women in the process of your laughs. Let's talk about it.
The thing that pissed me off about Martin was how much he would go on Pam. Like, I know, like, and this is coming from a girl who I love me a good, like, joke movie. And it even when the joking movie is like, that was fucked up. Like, you know, I'm not like too woke or something is what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm honestly not, I'm problematic. I'm pretty problematic, low key. But my point is that there are some things where I draw the line and it just bothered me. Or like, I don't know. It's like Pam was so
Ari Lennox posted how she felt about watching Martin as a dark-skinned black woman, and this is what she had to say.
Beautiful and so fine. And I just feel like growing up as a chocolate girl, like, I don't even know if I was able to understand the greatness of Pam because of the light that I feel like I was being fed. You know what I'm saying? Like, of just like always going on Pam, always, like, that's all I remember. And I didn't like that. But like, so I feel conflicted because while I feel like this show is incredible and I feel like Martin is a legendary show and all of the actors and Tommy and like everybody, like legendary, amazing. Like, I adore them all. Like, you have no idea. And I adore Martin. Like, I adore him. it just would piss me off. Like the joking on Pam, I just didn't like that, you know? Like, I'll always kind of feel a way about that.
You have this dark-skinned black woman basically sharing how she felt watching Martin. And what's interesting in this conversation, she is clearly saying she's trying not to be too woke. She's not trying to counsel the show because she already understands how it's going to be perceived when she talks about this. Because every time we have a conversation about colorism, people want to act as though it does not exist. She already knew because she is a dark-skinned black woman. She knew the vitriol that was going to come out because we are not new to this. We grew up, a lot of us grew up seeing how Twitter was used to talk about dark-skinned black women. We have seen colorism interpreted in so many different ways. And we're going to talk about that because I've been ready to have this conversation. And I'm actually thankful that Ari Lennox, without her even knowing, brought it to the forefront because y'all are, for the most part, delusional if you think that Martin was not a colorist show. And I am not interested in debating mess like this. Yes, the show was full of it. Full of it. The same tropes that we are always seeing with the light-skinned female character and the dark-skinned man. We've seen that trope time and time again. Let's not kid ourselves. So Martin was a TV show clearly that came out during the early 90s. I think I was a toddler when this show came out. And I'm not going to lie, growing up with a dark-skinned black mother who understood colorism, who faced colorism when she was trying to be a cheerleader and get on the majorette squad, and how she was denied growing up seeing the AKA paper bag test. She understood that, therefore I understood it because she shared her stories being a dark-skinned black woman back in the 60s and 70s. So when I watched Martin growing up, I always caught on the colorism that was happening. I really never was here for it. That's why a lot of the sitcoms back in the day, I'm not the biggest fan of because it was just so many cringe moments for me that it was just not giving. The way Martin used to talk to Pam, even though Pam responded back and clapped back, the things that Martin said were things that dark-skinned black women experience every day. We seem to forget how we have seen media and how we treat dark-skinned black women. Even how the conversation happens about Florida Evans' character on Good Times, even going to Family Matters and how Harriet Winslow was talked about when she came down the stairs and how she looked. We do this thing where the dark-skinned characters, specifically if they are female, they get dragged down for their looks. They have to be a certain build. They have to look a certain type of way. But if you are dark-skinned, you automatically are classified as ugly. So it wasn't a surprise that Pam was dealing with that. And before folks even get started with, Tichina Arnold came out and defended her character and her dynamic with Martin. Even in this interview, she says that the first jokes were fat. And if you understand fatness is tied to anti-blackness, you'll see where we're about to go.
I know that there's been a suggestion that there's a sort of light skin versus dark skin sort of dynamic between the way Martin treats Gina and the way he treats Pam.
Be the hat. Yo, Pam, you should be the dog as usual.
Have you ever considered that, or do you look at that and just in the way that like the things he calls you sometimes in character?
You know why I never considered that? Because originally Raw was all fat jokes. Like I told you, it was written, which is not better.
Yeah.
But we as a culture go through that, and it's I never was insulted by it.
Tichina Arnold is a worker on this show. She works on this show. She gets paid to be on this show. She's an actress. She is cool with Martin. She's not going to come out and say nasty things about the show. She's not going to do that. We understand that. And if we're keeping it a buck, Tichina Arnold is not the spokesperson for dark-skinned black women. This is not the work that she does. She doesn't come out and talk about these things. And even when she did talk about it, she talked about the pay discrepancy between her and her light-skinned counterpart. So we cannot have it both ways. We can't say that Tichina Arnold did not have a problem with the dynamic, but she also spoke on the colorism that she experienced in the industry. The same colorism that Erica Alexander talked about her experiencing in the industry while she was playing Maxine Shaw on Living Single. This is not something that we're making up. These are real life things that manifest in the media that we consume. They happen in real life and they show up in the media. They show up in who gets casted, who doesn't get casted, and when they are casted, what roles they're playing. Speaking of roles, let's have a conversation, because there is a long running history on how dark-skinned people are cast in media, point blank period. Going back to Eddie Murphy, who is a dark-skinned black man, but in 2 movies, he played fat characters in a fat suit. The main character in the movie Norbit was about Rasputia, who was a fat, black, dark-skinned woman, because we have to make sure that we understand Rasputia's character was dark-skinned. Eddie Murphy put on a fat suit to play a dark-skinned, fat, black character. He did the same thing with the movie The Nutty Professor. Now, when it came to the character in The Nutty Professor, Eddie Murphy played a nerd character who was interested in losing weight, who was a scientist, and his love interest was thin. We didn't see Eddie Murphy's character be mean. Matter of fact, we saw him become mean once he started to lose weight. That's another conversation. But even going back to Martin, as we talk about and dive into colorism, the infamous character Shanae was played by Martin Lawrence, who was also dark-skinned. If you remember, Shanae was very loud, very ghetto, and had long nails. Even if we remove Pam from the conversation, Shanae being dark-skinned hits differently. She did not like Gina. She bumped heads with other folks. She was played by a man. There is a famous trope of dark-skinned men playing ghetto, loud characters for minstrel type of content. It's even pervasive in the media that we consume online on Instagram and TikTok. There's several content creators who have built a platform playing these characters. Terry Reloaded, who built a huge following online, playing this dark-skinned ghetto character. All he had to do was put on a wig. He didn't have to appear to be attractive because he's dark-skinned. And the joke is, I'm dark-skinned and I'm ghetto. Not saying that all dark-skinned black folks are loud and ghetto, but that is oftentimes the stuff that we receive and see in media. Even moving on to other fictional characters like Kiki Mupisha, who I have laughed at a couple of times. This Muppet skin is dark skin. Because to be loud and ghetto and all these things, you have to look a certain type of way. We can even get into the conversation about the mammy effect and how we saw that in Tom and Jerry. And honestly, no shade to Terry Joe, how Terry Joe plays into that a little bit with his character. Even getting into Kwaylon Rogers, who played this dark-skinned black character by the name of TiTIk that was tied to being ghetto and being loud, minstrel show type of content that built him a big audience that allowed him to be in a Madea movie. So we have to understand that all of these things are connected. So we have to understand that these things mean something when dark-skinned black men can play dark-skinned female characters, and what type of character are they giving? What is the consistent theme for these dark-skinned black men when they play these dark-skinned female characters? Even Jamie Foxx got into this with his character on In Living Color. Like, there is a consistent trope of dark-skinned black men playing ghetto black women. Martin even went and put on a fat suit to play in Big Mama's House. A loud granny, getting into Tyler Perry. The way that it is perceived when a dark-skinned man plays a dark-skinned female character is completely different from a lighter or fair-skinned man playing a female character. Look at even Madea, where Madea was mean, but it wasn't the same type of ratchet that is often associated with dark-skinned black folks. So going back to Martin, because that was the response, is that Pam was clapping back at Martin and both of them were going back and forth at it. To try to argue that Martin and Pam going back and forth was a level playing field when Martin is the head of the show. He is the person who the show is wrapped around, and he just so happens to be in a relationship with a lighter character. Like, we cannot remove these things because they mean something. The second fiddle is often a trope that dark-skinned black characters play time and time again. The dark-skinned friend, the other. And that's what Pam was. She was in a relationship with a dark-skinned man. And even if we get into it, we've seen the constant trope of a dark-skinned man and a female character. Going to Dear White People, the show is about the movie, the TV series that was on Netflix was about exploring white people and their things around race. The main character is a light-skinned woman, and her best friend is dark-skinned, who we did not see much of. And it's so funny that we believe that these things happened so long ago and they're still not happening today. We just saw that in Sinners. We just saw a white passing character in a movie that got more airtime than the dark-skinned female character that saved them. She was playing second fiddle, and I guarantee you she did not get paid as much as the white lead. We couldn't even fully get into the conversation around Sinners without black men thirsting after Haley's character. And when she became even blacker, people were excited about it. They wanted to invite her to the cookout. Like, this is the media that we're consuming, the constant trope of the dark-skinned person playing second fiddle. A perfect example of this is Coming to America, starring Eddie Murphy as this fictional character coming from Africa and coming to find his queen or his love of his life, to have a different life. And who does he fall in love with? He falls in love with this light-skinned woman who is the daughter of the manager of the job he's working at. And the manager has two daughters. And there's a light-skinned daughter and a dark-skinned daughter. And when it was believed that the dark-skinned woman was the one who was being chosen, it was clear that it was the light-skinned woman. I truly believe that colorism is so prevalent that we do not even consider it because we see it so much, and we have just adopted it. Like, we're just so used to it that we think this is how things are. And I think that's why people are defending this show, because this is how it's always been, and we do not want to change it. Never the main character, and if they are the main character, it is set up as a joke. The things that Pam said to Martin, calling him short and calling him a cricket and all that, doesn't hit the same because she is a woman. Yes, it's hurtful, but systematically, it's not doing anything. Martin is not talking about not getting opportunities because he's short. He's not talking about these other opportunities. What do we have? Tashina Arnold going and sharing how difficult it was being a dark-skinned Black woman in the industry and finding work.
The 80s were very interesting because it was about that light-skin, dark-skin thing. And I remember literally knowing that I was losing out to certain jobs because of my complexion. And it was just something that, was, you just dealt with it. It was, you just, roll it off your back and keep it moving. Because we see, going back to Sinners, that the dark-skinned folks still to this day in 2025 are not getting the same opportunities as their light-skinned counterparts. And even when the character is dark-skinned and deserves a dark-skinned actress or actor to play, who is playing it? Hey, Zoe. So let me end on this. Ari Lennox was not wrong at all in the things that she said. I'm glad that she brought this to the light, and it's a conversation. I think for the most part, we are in a heavy anti-intellectual age. And I think all of these recent things that we have seen, specifically the conversation that was had around Polo and Ralph Lauren and how people did not see the colorism around that and didn't see the texturism, didn't see the futurism happening with that. We don't have any fat people in that collaboration. We don't even have Black folks with locks. You're not going to see that because that is not what is being requested for the form of Blackness that we want to represent us. Say what you got to say, but all of these things are forever connected, and I have no problem deconstructing it and having a conversation about it. I think it says a lot about the people who do not want to have these conversations. The people who are very upset at these conversations even being had. Why does a critique on a 30-year-old fictional show bother you so much that you are wanting to silence a Black woman and tear her down for speaking on it? She is speaking on her experience being a dark-skinned Black person, a dark-skinned Black woman watching this show. And even Ari Lennox, who we have often said the reasons why she isn't as successful is because of colorism. We have had this conversation about her and other dark-skinned female artists who have not been able to have the same trajectory as their light-skinned counterparts. We saw what happened with Ice Spice. We saw what happened to other homegirl and how many opportunities they have gotten. And when it comes to the dark-skinned Black women, they don't get the same. And this conversation speaks to why. That's all I got. Tell me your thoughts in the comments, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.